Hello, hello, hello. Hello, good morning. If you can start to sit, we can start in a few minutes. We will start in a few minutes, so grab your breakfast and start sitting, please, so we can start and make good use of our morning time. Hello, hello. Okay, so we're ready to start the last day of the symposium in a sunny day and in a very good setting. This is more relaxed. It's going to be a very good format for the conversation that we're going to have today. And with the opportunity to have you, a very nice audience of architects to engage in the conversation. But first, we're going to start with something that was pending from Friday. On Friday, we hear from Xiaodu about the intense story of Shenzhen, a city that went from a fisher's village of 30,000 people in the early 80s to a megapolis of 15 million people today. Xiaodu told us how he and his practice were part of the story of the city, going from the first rapid development, infrastructure, then into the urban sprawl, and later on the regeneration. A very intense process that only happened in 30 years. So now Xiaodu is going to retake very quickly the first part of his presentation and continue with the part that we haven't seen yet. So this should be around half an hour, and then we are going to start with the panel. So I hope that by that time you have all had your coffee, your food, and you have your mind ready to also be part of this conversation. So now I leave you with Xiaodu, who's going to tell us what is happening now with Shenzhen.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, and it's quite an honor. Actually, I became almost the first group of I speak, the first keynote speaker, and I'm honored to be the last two. It's been a very, very good symposium that I've been experiencing, and especially last day, yesterday, we had a lot of thinking talk, and after the meeting, we also have a talk. And there, one key word I actually want to address is the term called fate. Someone like me, I just happened to was born in China. Okay, so lots of audience just happened to born in Finland, which is nice country, less people, than we're in whole different world. So what I'm going to tell is something totally different that if you don't really understand, I think probably just think, okay, the someone is living in some place you don't really familiar, and you know there are lots of people living in different way, and also this is the fate. I was the first doing presentation here, then and yesterday they are going into the auditorium. Then today I have to go back into the same place and do the same thing exactly. This is the code of fate. Okay. Okay. So I'll quickly to glance to the what I have showed the day before yesterday. The first part of our work, actually, this is we have 3 partners. Everything I speak here is not necessarily my work. It's Urbanus' work. Okay, I want to state this very clearly. So this is something I was trying to tell the background story about what happens in China, the 3 major economic circle, and where in Shenzhen it's the last one on the down below. There's a circle, and you see this. What happens here? This is actually the most population is gathered in the southeast coast part of China. So we say that it's a very, very big country. It's equivalent to what American USA has, but actually USA has 5 times more agricultural field than China. Then we have 5 times more population to states, which is United States has 25 times of resource they have. So this is a situation brought by this guy, and he's saying he's 60% right, he's 40% doing wrong, and I think it's probably reversals this time. And in 1979, he set up an open policy to China to open this window to the world, or open the door, actually. So Shenzhen suddenly become a rival city to Hong Kong, so become a special economic zone. So the population suddenly grow 500 times during 35 years. So this is the basic situation. You see what was there, then what was now, and you know the PRD we call the Pearl River Delta area. So this is getting very massive development, and the city actually growing from the east towards the west, and it's totally developed almost. We don't have land here, and you see this caused a huge wave of urbanization movement happening in China. Probably is the largest in the human history, and Shenzhen probably also the central point of it. And our office actually follow this kind of a move to from east to west, and our projects built all over the place. There are, you know, we put it like a 20 some, but actually we have over 100 projects I got built, and during our 16 years practice. And you know, we started practicing in the year 2000. Around that time, it has already 9 million people. So we are dealing with like a big city problem, and try to bring those culture, all different, some deeper layers, try to add something to the urban situation. It's a really a lack of the something you know behind. We don't have too much. Then we're trying best to catch up. See those urban public space we had designed and built in different places, and actually try to practice is what we're supposed to do the next once the city get the main structure and being mostly kind of it's already framed. So there are several projects we have done during the last 10, 15 years, and some office buildings. So the regular, it's as a professional architectural firm, so we do care architecture, we do care buildings lots of things. We do new buildings, we do renovation like this, we do some creative industry, creative park like this. Our office was the first office moved to this area. This in the center of Shenzhen. Used to be a very shady light industry area. It had been abandoned almost. Then we turned it into the very kind of fancy cultural landmark in Shenzhen. So we also helped the city to choose this site as the site, the three sites, the first sites of Shenzhen architecture and urbanism biennale biennial exhibition. Since then, it's become more popular than ever. So this is the second phase. We've done all the paintings. It's all our work. We organize international famous painters. They come over to paint those things and make this very much. This is all our work in the public area. And we did some probably well-known projects at that time in the year 2008 and this 2008 have something built. And this is we're talking about some like environmental crisis. The one Shenzhen gets to 13 million people, and the whole China has the same problem, and Shenzhen has less, and it's better than Beijing, better than Shanghai. That we'll still continue doing a lot of public building. Even this is so small, it's less than 1,000 square meter, and within 2 years we build and continue doing some fancy renovation to try to lift up the face of what happens of the city of Shenzhen. So this is also experiment and also the improvement, the proof of, which we try to show people, actually the value of the old building. So we don't easily just turn it down and leave some history, leave a memory to the city, even it's only have 35 years history. Then the old building wise, we only have 10 years. Memory. They're keeping wiping out. This is like we're just like a hard drive, and so sometimes we always kind of reset. This is not gonna. So we're openly criticize this kind of a situation, and we have done a lot of high-rise building. This is going to be stand for probably at least 50 years, but some building complex we tend to. This is something we really like to do, and to try to use the new building to solve the existing problem. Some like a human logistical circulation, and some very congested in the congested area that we build a usable area, and also we solve some existing problem. So I don't want to talk too much, and because of the time, there are some very interesting project. It's like even it's so simple, it's actually combined with a print factory, office building, and art gallery all together in that one triangle site, and it's a site and on the very congested. The circulation place. It's very hard, but it's already complete. Sorry, I didn't replace this photo. And this is a library, a university library, and we try to use some new things. And this is to the point that where the whole Shenzhen has run out of land, so we have no choice, and we have to do that urban regeneration. This become the major issues, and you see that Shenzhen has the urban village. It just happens it used to be a rural area, so the village is scattered around in like a 30 minutes walking distance. So this is the kind of a very even. And some villages large, some villages small, but it's kind of it's nicely distributed, and it happens become the low-income society in Shenzhen, because when the Shenzhen acquired all the farmland, and then the city actually is just growing, and surrounded this village. Those villages not used to be in the urban in city system. It's self-control, managed, or everything. The city only provides power and the sewer system. That's all. So, so this is becoming a very interesting situation. When you see the Shenzhen develop like the CBD, it's just doing last 15 years. It grows from the just empty land suddenly into go into a very kind of rich district. A lot of life has already been, old type of life and a new type of the economy pattern that actually is being introduced. And this is they gave us another opportunity to think what we should do, and do we really want to keep the traditional role as just a professional architectural firm? Then we do whatever the client wanted us to do, and we sit there and waiting for the clients to come to us and give a job, and then we start to have this second line, and start doing research. So we borrow this idea of it's a research lead design, or someone said research led design. Well, it's the way we thought we can do a better way, study what's going to happen in the future of Shenzhen, a city like Shenzhen, maybe some other cities. And this is we started point is the research of the urban villages and what's the condition or how people are living there. We found it's so interesting that most people don't really understand or don't know about it. That's how rich the life there. It's so convenient, and what city needed it happens there is by itself. And with so self-grown urban sector, it's much better than this closed what we call it gated community development, and so the high price in Shenzhen. So we started we selected 4 projects, different situations for urban village, and one of them it's showing here. It's already gone. You see that the upper one is we took it Google Earth. There's a year 2000 and the 2010. It's a west part is wiped out. They are building a big commercial complexes with 2 major shopping malls and a bunch of housing and office buildings on the top of it. And this is what we have done. I don't want to do too much explain. It's just something like how we can use the existing cluster. Then we take off some of the buildings and improve the ventilation and the sunlight and make those building and split them into pieces, and then we put it on the roof. So in the return, we solved some kind of a fire escape kind of a route, a new route on the rooftop, and create a whole new level for the residents. It's for the tenant actually to do their own life and leave the ground level as a totally commercial area. So we call this a rooftop urbanism. This is just it's saying we draw this one specially want to convince people, say, okay, this is actually nice, right? So it's actually, urban village is not that scary. We can improve it with certain that kind of a method. It's not necessarily be like this, but actually, that's the way we should do. That we publish a book, we hand it to the city, we hand it to the media. We work with, we found the people who had similar ideas, so we push this one. I think this has a little bit effect. So the city actually start to identify which one can be remained a little bit, which one can be demolished. So this is what happens. Actually, what happens is also the fate. But people cannot control their fate, right? So when the right side is demolished, the area evacuated already. But it used to be so crowded, so rich, and the people, have their life there. Even it's kind of a low-level life, but they still kind of living happily. Well, I see everybody. Most people are kind of happy. So we cannot just chase them outside of the city to the suburb. They will spend a couple hours commute into the city and create a huge traffic problem and increase the cost of the whole city. So this is not going to happen. We already say those words that you cannot just say, okay, we demolish those urban villages to replace with this ugly, residential towers. You can see it everywhere in China, not just in Shenzhen. So this is the experience we did with a developer, and they want to do some social housing experience. So we did this new affordable housing program inspired by the traditional what's called Tulou. It's it's a vernacular architecture appeared in the last 500 years in southeast part of China. In the mountains, still have thousands of them that remain right now. And some of them become like this. It's probably the one of the best UNESCO World Heritage site. And when we think we try to, the first idea was try to combine the urban village idea and this Tulou of formation, and put them together, make a very big, very large affordable housing community. And then later we select the right side. It is a smaller building, and we try to use it as a prototype, and we can copy it, and we call it colonize it to the whole city. And it actually worked out quite nice. Actually, it's a very, very high occupation and rate. So this looks like this. It's very much like a traditional Tulou, but tell the truth, this is a 100% contemporary modern architecture that we did. Is use the concrete method. Everything is concrete and a little bit of wood screen, and it has 5 courtyards. And the fire engine can get into this kind of outside. It's a circled, a curved courtyard, and the center courtyard is quite nice. So this is what happens, like 5 years, 6 years later. So it's fully occupied and very nice. I see the life there. It was the ones that finish on the top, and it took this picture a month or 2 months ago, and it's always like that. Every time I come back, it's like this. So people are quite like the place. They feel safe. So we did a lot of post-occupation research, survey, and try to find out what's going on, what we did right, what we did wrong. So this is the start of our research. The point that this is the museum we designed in urban village. It's a so bizarre situation. But we decided to participate in a competition, and we won. It's a very unique phenomenon. This village actually turned itself into a massive man-made oil painting industry. So they upgrade itself from it's a very normal urban village into something kind of upgraded in kind of industry, was kind of a cultural industry thing, but it's also bizarre. And what we did is not just make it something like a museum, or we actually deal with this as a community center. So we try to make this a community center so people can actually access to here 24 hours. And the top boxes is actually has a dialogue to the opposite urban village. So you don't see this gigantic mass will actually destroy the whole urban fabric. And they have leave a large square to give the opportunity for the large event, and people are happy here to do their whatever they on the inside. So that you see that the top level for the artists studios, and they also be very easy to access to the nearby neighborhoods. So this is what happens. This is going to be. So this is something. How much time I have? Don't worry. Sorry. This is the project we have done. That we started to think. Okay, urban village kind of an idea. What it's actually solving some affordable housing problem a little bit, and what happens? And we use this high density ideas to apply to a commercial building. So this is a try we did for another a big developer in Shenzhen, and this is a very big development. You see the two super high-rise towers and one huge shopping mall underneath. And this is very standard. It's like exactly like what an American shopping mall. The form is the same, and have a high-rise residential building behind it. We will commission doing a 100,000 square meter loft apartment or development on the top of this shopping mall. So this is that's the top. The one is a site. It's very nice site to connect two hill parks. So that you see the understand on the one hill to overlook the other one. So the site is just there. So we thought it's the great opportunity to bridge the two parks together. So we make a small town-like environment as something in between of like a office and residential. So this we call this Soho. And this is the only case, I think, that only can happen in China, because here in America, it's not worth to build something on the top of a shopping mall. Structurally, it's very difficult and it's very challenging. And so this is we actually gave them this is everything we designed. Not shopping mall. Shopping mall designed by an American firm, and so we drew this one to tell them what is going to happen. The yellow part is the loft, and the green part is the office, and the orange part is the luxury loft apartment. So this is. So that's the way we do, and the fire engine can come to on the top of the floor. Finally, it's actually a workout. Even this very, very commercial type of the project, we actually try to make it solve that certain kind of problem that, like, what if the city needs more land and more area to be built? That's going to have some special strategy. So this is the strategy we provide for people. And obviously, the city is happy, and the developers happy, and it's become a really good case for the developers. They suddenly realize, that's one of shopping mall. It's like 100,000 square meter a site can be built like this. So that we have there's a top, nice, very nice living place. Rather than the left side is a high-rise building. So we gave them an alternative way and give people alternative way to live. And this is the city we like. It's upgraded the urban village. So this is something everything connected. We constantly use this kind of idea, our research to, and every time we got a project, we thought, what we can do. We had a research, we know what people really wanted. So this is some either more extreme case we were trying to make the thing work, and that's the same area in CBD area. So that's the right side is the big site. They are already built a shopping mall there. They want to say, okay, we want to build more, and what's going to happen? So they come to us and say, okay, I know you're doing the high-rise, high-density studies, and can you do some study for us and give us some idea what can happen, how high the FAR can go. So we gave them 3 strategies, and one is very conventional and just facing the very much like a Central Park, like a green space, and this is used to be the start point of Shenzhen, at the edge of Shenzhen, and we make this, we blow up into like 10 times, and they used to be that like very, very low right here. So there's a historic, we call it historical landmark. It's only like 7-story high. So now we extrude it into maybe 400 or 500 meters tall and make it this kind of a multi-level, multi-function, high-rise building, and also introduce some nice life to people. And this is you see when you see the section, it's a very, very rich kind of volumes and lots of voids and lots of activities. What happened that gave them the chance to solve the problem. And then this we gave them another option. It's a kind of stack all the small building all together. That's not a new idea, but just we told them, okay, this is also an idea. We can make the adjacent to this kind of a 5-story light industry building and then stack them together. Just simply stack them together and make a high-rise. And they become super flexible blocks. So they can adopt the new development. See, for example, now it's that this area is full of the IT companies and small companies. They changing every 2 or 3 years, and we can make it large, we can make it small, and it become super flexible blocks, and the people are living there. We can give them some apartments and nearby, and the office down below. So this is some proposals. It's not necessarily be real. We just gave them say, oh, this is probably an idea what's going to happen, and only the tower here is fake. All others are real. Okay, we kind of superimpose a picture of this site. And you see, what do we want to tell them? Maybe we can make some kind of a big atrium, the sky atrium type of space. They allow the people to live in different layers. They don't need to always go down to the ground to do other things. So they can do the multiple, it's kind of a very multi-used block, and they put them together, and one by one, it's all different voids. It's very much like a different building that we put them, stacking up for the mean. Of course, if someone asks how you can solve this escalator problem or this circulator, vertical circulation, I'll say I haven't designed it, but if you commission me, I will definitely figure out. Yeah, this is not a big problem because we have super high speed elevator already developed. It's just a matter of money, right? So, but the land is more precious. prices than anything, the building material, everything. So this is going to happen. It will happen. Well, we already pictured this. This is probably the first city can do this. A super block, the Western architectural pioneers are already imagined for many, many years. And this is the one I actually, we gave them another extreme a suggestion, like, okay, we cut those building into sections. Actually, each section is a different building. We also stack, and also this very much like 4 regular high-rise buildings bound together and make a super big, super block. And yeah, something like that. The white part is the void, and the atrium space in the different place. The different place can have different functions in the voids, and people can live in the different place. They don't need to go down. And yeah, I think that this is the choice of no choice. For example, if I live here, I'd rather to do 1-story building or maximum 2. Now, yeah, I have a car, I would put a, build something in the woods. Oh, that's a nice life I wanted. But in the city like this, there's no way. So you have to be billionaire to build a house like that. Okay, so for ordinary people, okay, let's go here. Let's leave it in the the place like that. By the way, we'll try our best to improve our living conditions. So that's the conclusion we actually. It's kind of I don't know if we are very kind of narrow-minded. Once we went to a road, then it was going no end. It is going push on the limit. So we call this kind of the new density. What's the new density means? The new density means, it used to be, they're talking about high density about 5, FAR 5. So on one piece of land, they have 5 times the buildable area. So now we're talking about 10. And I'm actually working on the project in other province. It's already FAR 10. And the buildable area is 20. Can you believe it? I'm designing it right now. Yeah, just right the moment. People are sending the file to me, and I'm checking their drawings. That's not that difficult, actually. But once the building like this, the building cluster like this is going to be super difficult, super complex. This is something we did a research. I asked people my guys to collect the old ideas of what's what's called the mega structures, what's the old idea, and what's going on in the different time, and so this is some research. I don't want to do too much, and we found that actually the newly proposed those. Big complex is not really meant to solve that kind of high density problem. It's actually meant to make big landmark. This is different. It's so different from what the 1960s realm. That idea doesn't really affect, but they have some kind of link. And this is the reality then. So you see, this is the urban village, very big. And it's just nearby my office. It's like 1 kilometers away. So then it's facing, there's one big developer want to purchase this one and want to build something big. And there's one very famous American design firm gave a master plan to wipe out everything and build like super high-rise residential and office buildings. And there are some very nice urban village sectors. So they just don't care. They just wipe them out. They just no worthless. Let's do something completely new. So we come with our proposal. We thought they're doing wrong, so we gave them, we cut the whole village into 5 sections. So they try to make each edge of section some preserved urban village sectors. So we carefully identify which part is worth to preserve, and then we adding more density on the top, and they leave those like the urban, the very unique, very interesting urban sectors. It's not built in 100 years ago, probably 70 years ago, but it's still very, very different from all other kind of. It's like a compound. You see this compound like this. Yeah, it's just very, very interesting. And you can see from the map, it's different. So we gave them the proposal, and even we talked to the planning bureau, say, okay, hey guys, this is the urban village we really want to keep. And if you gave them a policy, say, okay, those reserved area can be green space. They count as a green space. They have urban planning policy, so they have a certain ratio of green space, so-called. So they say, okay, if they can reserve that, they'll be counted as a green space. So we kind of negotiate with people, but still we gave them some spectacular deal. Say, okay, this is going to happen. This is going to be good. It's not true. It's not a real project. We gave them proposal. We didn't solve any detailed problems. But this is something we push. We thought it's going to happen and it can be solved. So. This is some perspective renderings we did in I think don't be making wrong. It's not it's a fake Eiffel Tower in Shenzhen. You see, there is a theme park called the Window of the World. They have a mimic of the small buildings. That's a 100-meter tall Eiffel Tower there. So this is something that we're doing something. Try to change what's not just change, but improve the condition. And we thought through the research, through the design, and actually research really need a good design to make it happen. Otherwise, the research always remain as a research. So especially urban kind of issues, social issues, we really need to combat. It's also the experience like the urban, the Tulou, the affordable housing with them. It's causing so much attention, domestic and internationally. But it's because it's the wrong shape. The shape is kind of draw lots of attention. So this is something we actually learn. It's something we want to do, something we need to do. So yeah, this is everything. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
Hello. Thank you, Xiaodu. It was impressive to see this. And what we have seen in Shenzhen is not something isolated. Imagine that the urban population is going to double in the next 40 years, and there are going to be many Shenzhens. And it's also interesting to see the evolution of the city in relation to the evolution of Urbanus architecture. And you start to see a city that is shaped by an architect, but an architect that is being shaped by the city as well. Well, to continue with our session, I'd like to invite the panelists to come here. So we're going to start with the session.